Hello everyone, welcome to day 28 of our online Facebook yoga session. Today we will be focusing again on the second class of the Kindalini Tantra series. Today focusing on Mooladhara Chakra, the root chakra, but with a little revisitation to the Ajna Chakra today as we warm up. So I'd like to invite you to join me in Bhadrasana as I set up our position today. So Bhadrasana is sitting up on your feet. The tips of your toes are touching. The knees are out as far as you comfortably feel that they are able to go. You are sitting up on your heels. Again, be careful that the tilt in your lower back is not over exaggerated. And this is Bhadrasana. Take a moment here to feel your natural breath and really feel the belly dropping down now, creating that space between the legs. So visualize occupying that space with your breath as you deeply inhale through the nose into the balloon in your belly as our first focus. As you exhale, elongating the breath to be twice as long as your inspiration. Follow this pattern very deeply. And for an additional practice today, I would like you, as we sit in Bhadrasana, to focus now your eyes at your third eye center. So almost looking directly at the Ajna Chakra. So this is a bit of our revisitation to Ajna Chakra before we come into the Mooladhara Chakra and practice. So looking almost as though we are crossing our eyes, maintaining your posture, maintaining your breath. And now as the second instance, moving our focus from the belly, the wave coming into the rib cage, feeling that powerful expansion of your space. Claiming proprioceptive territory as you continue to breathe very deeply. If at any point your legs start to fall asleep, come down. You can sit in any regular position. Trying to anchor the pelvic floor onto the ground with every breath. Shoulders melting down the vertebral spine. Column lifting your rib cage, shoulders, neck. And now that third part of the wave comes into practice. So the balloon in the belly, the barrel in your rib cage, and finally filling all of the crevices and the spaces in the upper regions and the cavities in your faces. And breathing deeply. Don't force that breath. Let it expand naturally. And relax into this breath. Your eyes are focusing at the Ajna Chakra, the third eye. You can now also begin to include the Ujjayi breathing technique, which is a contraction of the throat, almost as though you're fogging a window or cleaning your glasses, but with a closed mouth. Today's practices will be drawn on the family classic asana, pranayama, mudra, bandha, family favorite, as well as Kindalini Tantra and pranayama, vidya, written all by the Yoga Publication Trust out of Bihar, India, citing my sources, not marketing any propaganda. On your next exhalation, allowing the arms to come off of the knees, inhaling, shoulders down, arms up, eyes of the elbows open, palms stretching. We'll do 3 deep breaths here and feel the body lifting, lengthening. Once you feel the tips of the fingers touching, turn the palms downward. And more slowly than as we did, rising up, slowly coming down. Extending your exhale to be twice as long as your inhalation. And again, once you feel the tips of your fingers touching the ground, turn the palms upwards. Yoga means union, primarily the breath and the body. Yoga has several stages. The asana, or the physical positions that we do, is the third stage. Pranayama is the fourth stage. And we are starting to get into the higher levels as we get into the Kundalini Tantra practice. On your next inhale, let's bring the arms up. This time we'll let them linger in a T-shaped position, but feel the eyes of the elbows opening, lifting. Relax the joints of the wrists, the elbows, the fingers, the shoulders, all of your connective tissue. Just let it melt, and trying to bring your awareness into the dense core connective tissues in the body. We'll begin by stretching out the neck. As we'll remember from our earlier practices, the 4 different lumbar regions of the spine should get 3 different movements daily. Up and down, back and forth, side to side. So let's do just the first region, the cervical spine. As we inhale, left arm, fingers of the left hand finding their soft spot on the opposite temple. Turning the right palm down and exhaling again. Once the fingers, tips of the fingers touch the ground, you can either tent the fingers, flatten the palm, or indeed you can keep your block, book, or any prop nearby. If the arm does not comfortably come all the way down, adjust the block to your setting. And then allow the chin to come into the chest, feeling that deep nodding, feeling the positive mantra of yes floating through the body, and keeping that open-mindedness for whatever's happening in your practice. What we do to one side of the body, we always do to the opposite side to promote symmetry in our physical life. So inhaling, arms back out to the side, T-shaped position. Always dropping the shoulders down. Whatever you're doing, allow your mind to rotate back to the shoulders, drop them down. Then to the jaw, release. And then to the hips. The jaw, the shoulders, and the hips have strong connections linked through emotional experiences. What we do to one side, of course, opposite side. So finding the sweet spot with the right fingers of the left temple, dropping the left fingers, tenting them, or flattening the sole, using the block if necessary. And we are lifted up a little bit in our Bhadrasana sitting. So even if you regularly can touch the ground in a Padmasana or other seated position, in this case, you may feel a little bit of a deeper tug or a little bit more of a space being created between your fingers and the ground. Nodding chin into the chest. Just be mindful and observe any differences that you feel. Again, not losing sight of the balloon in your belly, the barrel in your ribs, the spaces in your faces as you take that 3-part deep breath, gradually extending the exhale to be twice as long as the inhale. And when you're ready, inhaling back up to that T-shaped position. Let's keep the arms here, but bending the forearms, so coming into that cactus type of arm. Make sure the elbows are up and try to find your balance. If you can see yourself in a reflection, where are you? Are you like this? Are you like this? Or are you level? Can you sense yourself in space without looking? Are you 90 degrees in your elbows, in your shoulders? Are you leaning forward or leaning back? Is your lower back tilted? Just come into your body. Find where you are in this space, how you take up this space, and breathe deeply. And again, we're going to come into the Mooladhara practices. So starting to bring your awareness down to the coccyx, the base tail end of the spine, and little bit inside from here. We'll do an exact Mooladhara Bandha location. But before we do, let's finish off the neck. So this is almost like we're looking or we're bringing our nose to our armpits. So keeping your arms up nice and strong. Let's exhale to the left armpit first. So looking down, almost at a bit of an angle. So as if we can smell our armpits or aiming to. And on day 28 of our quarantine, you might be able to by now, inhaling back up to center and exhale again. Not quite straight, not out to the side, but as though your nose is really aiming for that armpit. And feel that opening of maybe spaces you hadn't quite felt in a while. And inhale, coming up. Inhaling, both hands together, interlace the fingers behind the head. And just breathe here for a moment. Lean back. You may also feel that same opening in your sternum. For years, I had this cracking coming in my sternum. And of course, the more yoga I do, the stronger and more malleable and pliable my connective tissue and fascia are, the less I have any sort of ache and pain, let alone cracks or injuries or breaks. Continuing to breathe here, looking back, and when you're ready, let's exhale. Bring the spine back to a regular lumbar position, elbows in together, and starting from the upper spine and probably only the cervical spine, we're going to drop the chin down. Let the hands and the arms act as weight, but do not let the thoracic spine come down. So right when you hit the shoulders ledge, just hang there. Keep the shoulders moving down away from the ears. And breathe here. By now, your legs are certainly feeling this hold. We've been sitting in this bound position for nearly 15 minutes if you have not moved yet. So as we get ready to prepare ourselves to move upwards, not quite yet, just observe the sensation of the blood moving through your legs, and particularly the activity around the base of the spine, the base of the perineum area, and the whole lower part of the body. So when you're ready, inhale from the cervical spine, lifting up. Chin is the last thing to come up, and then opening the elbows, opening the arms all the way out. Exhale to the left side, just as a bit of a side stretch, and you can start to feel already releasing a little bit of tension in the side and returning that circulatory flow back to the base of the body. Inhale, opposite side, whether your fingers, palms, or forearm comes down. Otherwise, of course, using a block or another type of prop. And on your next inhale, let's bring that arm forward and keep reaching. We're going to come all the way into a puppy stretch. So reaching forward as far as we can. Keep the chest down. Keep the hips up and release the legs out to the side. You can give the feet a bit of a kick, a bit of a shake if you need to. And if you're not comfortable coming down so low into the puppy stretch, you can just allow yourself to be in a regular child position. Do keep the legs open. Keep the knees moving outwards. We're going to hold this for another 2 minutes. So again, in this Tantra Kundalini Yoga practice, we are still exploring yin tendencies. And the basis of any yin practice is time, stillness, and finding your edge. So come into all of our poses at about 70% of your full capacity. Mentally prepare yourself to take yourself deeper as time allows and as your fascia, that edge along which we walk, once that opens up, it's an instant entrance. There is no effort. In fact, should you decide to exert effort, you will prolong your entrance period into the deep connective tissues of the body. The more we tense up, the more the focus is on those macroskeletal muscles, and therefore our fascia inherently cannot release. That's 1 minute here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to stay here for 1 minute longer. Let your head relax. Allow the Ajna chakra to be on the ground, and if it doesn't touch the ground, put it on a block. Allow some pressure to be exerted there. And also, again, we are focusing on our Mooladhara Chakra, the base chakra, the root chakra. And feel that wave of oxygen moving along your spine, protecting all your nerve endings, essentially your life force. Your entire life, all of your programming is in this long cord that attaches to that solid mass at the top, otherwise known as your skull and brain. Hopefully we all have intact. That's 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. When you are ready, very slowly, we're going to start walking the hands back to a center position. Bring the legs back together. And we're just going to come up on to both knees for just a moment. And again, if you need to shake them out, if you need to possibly even give a little bit of a massage, let the legs bounce around. We'll come into a half camel position. So keeping the femurs parallel. If the knees are a little bit sensitive or sore, you can roll the mat under or just allow a towel. Otherwise, we're going to come into a half camel Uttanasana. So inhaling, arms up, shoulders down. Take the right arm first, bringing it just to the lower back. Thumb should be reaching in towards the spine and pushing forward. Keep the chin into the chest. Keep your hips moving forward. This is all we need to do for now. Make sure your chest, your ribs, your belly stays flat. Don't start turning. If you start turning, you have surpassed your edge. Come back to where you are flat. If your hand feels good here, you can start maybe walking it down your leg and even coming onto your heel if you feel comfortable. And when you're ready, opposite side. So inhaling up, both arms up. And exhaling, left arm now down. Again, you can bring your hand first to the lower back. Lean back, shoulders down. Feel the energy moving along your spine. If this is your position of comfort, stay here. Otherwise, find your edge. Breathing for one deep breath. And inhaling up, lifting, reaching with both hands again. And exhale down, tabletop position. So making sure everything is lined up. Your wrists, elbows, shoulders are in a nice straight line. Your fingers are wide. Your weight is always on the first knuckle. So that index finger, that pointy finger, that always takes the weight. That will help to line up the shoulders, the ribs, the spine, and by virtue, the entire body. Make sure your knees and your hips are also in a line. Make sure your lower back is nice and straight. You may even want to round the back just for a little bit of checking. Imagine someone can put a hot cup of tea. And lengthen. We're going to come into a few cat-cow positions. And then into some balancing. So when you're ready, let's inhale, lift the head, lift the tailbone, and rocking back. Coming almost into a child's position, stretching out the armpits, and inhale, rocking forward. Also stretching the wrist here, letting yourself come down. And again, inhale, lifting the spine. And exhale, lifting the tailbone and the head. So breathing. And follow your own breath. Follow your own pace. Moving with the Ajna Chakra at the top of the spine, the Mooladhara Chakra at the base of the spine. And breathe. The lungs are located in the back body, not the front body. So if you feel more oxygen here, that's exactly why. We're going to come into our balancing positions now. So when you're ready, let's start with the left leg. So if the left leg is enough, stay here. If you'd like to also introduce the right arm, feel free to do so. The hand should be facing inward. Again, your fingers are wide open, reaching forward, reaching back. And when you're ready, let's dance. Exhale, knee to the nose, elbow to the rib. Follow your own breath 2 or 3 times as you lengthen and extending, finding space and contracting. On your next inhale, let's find a balance. So bending the knee, reaching back, finding your foot, and lifting, using your eyes to gaze at the ground. And breathe. Really letting the belly lengthen. And let's just drop here. We're going to come back to the tabletop position. Take a moment to find your edge, or rather find your center. We are going to come up into a downward dog and a few other standing postures today. So we're going to come off of the knees in just a moment. Otherwise, when you're ready, let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So taking the right leg, pointing the toes, and if that's where you are comfortable, stay there. If you'd like to introduce a deeper balance, bring in the left arm, breathing very deeply. And when you're ready, let's move. Knee to the nose, elbow to the rib, lifting, lengthening, strengthening. And on your next inhale, finding balance, bending the knee, reaching back, and finding sense of place in this space. And when you're ready, release and exhaling down. Preparing for our first downward dog. The hands should remain in that same position, fingers all spread. First knuckle takes the weight. Eyes of the elbows facing forward, so you can turn your whole arm, all those different interconnected moving parts. Make sure the eyes of the elbows are facing inward. And now when you're ready, shoulders down, lengthening the spine, lift the toes, curl them under, and we're not going to straighten the legs until the very last minute. So pushing into the hands, keep the knees bent, lifting your bum, keeping your chin into the chest. This is the position we want to keep. Okay, so really feeling the length in the upper body, chin into the chest, and if you are ready, you are introducing the lengthening of the legs. Now you don't have to have the heels touching. The heels can be lifted. The knees can be bent a little bit. What's important is the shoulders are down away from the ears. And let's just begin to walk here a little bit. So pedaling up and down. Bicycling the legs. Good. And we're going to come into our first balancing position. So in warrior one, let's take our left leg, lifting it up nice and high and bending the knees, stepping forward, making sure that front leg is at a 90 degrees, back leg dropping down so that the instep of the back foot is in line with the front heel. So you can even draw a line mentally or in your mat. If that is a bit of a tight balance, move that space out so that they don't line up. Move to the outer edges of your mat. Torso facing forward, your back foot is facing out to a 45-degree angle. Inhale, arms up, shoulders down, eyes at the elbows open, tips of the fingers touching, and breathe here. Warrior one. Really push into the inside of the feet. Imagine you are standing on a ball, on a round orb. You can put a slight back bend if you wish. Don't lose that 90 degrees in the front leg. And as you prepare to come out, exhale, dropping the hands, stepping back, and coming into our downward dog. Let's move the legs again, pedaling back and forth, up and down. And preparing to do the same thing on the opposite side. When you are ready, let's lift the opposite leg nice and high. And when you are ready, bending the knees, stepping down 90 degrees. Dropping your back foot out at a 45-degree angle, making sure that you have alignment with the inside of the instep of your back foot with the front heel. Unless you find the balance challenging, then widen your stance, otherwise torso facing forward. Feel the hip flexor lengthening. Inhale, arms up, shoulders down, 90 degrees in that front leg. Don't lose that. Pushing into the outer, into the edges of your feet and slightly lean back. Feel your abdominal muscles stretching. Feel your diaphragm lengthening, but keep that balloon in your belly. Again, focusing on Mooladhara Chakra. So that energy center all around our reproductive forces. We'll come into a breath in just a moment. And when you're ready, exhaling down. Drop the hands and stepping back. Again, let's pedal the legs. And when you are ready, let's just bend the knees, coming down to Vajrasamana. So thunderbolt position, knees are together, tips of the toes are together. We are sitting up on our feet. If that's not comfortable, bring a bolster or a block, anything to give you a little bit more height. We're going to stay here for a moment and we're going to do some breathing as well as Mooladhara Chakra location. Now I am going to, as I said, cite the Swami Satyananda Saraswati text. So as I take us through the procedure, find yourself sitting so that you have, whether you are male or female, pressure with your heel against the perineal region. So if you're unable to grasp that in a Vajrasana, come down into a Siddhi or a Siddhi Yoni Asana, wherein the heel is pressing into the pelvic floor. The toes and foot are tucked between the thigh and the calf on both sides, or a variation thereof. You can again have your hips lifted with a block or a pillow if it's a little bit more opening. And again, just observe what you need. Listen to your body. This whole practice, it's not about attaining a certain level or place or position. It's about listening to what our body needs. The body is continuously communicating with us, and it is in our own best interests to listen. Now become aware of your natural breath for a short while, and then begin to focus on that perineal region, and just begin to contract. There are 3 bandhas in the body. Mooladhara bandha, which is in the base of the body. And that is where we are beginning today. So just put your awareness down to the base, your pelvic floor, and begin to contract this region by pulling up on the muscles of the pelvic floor and then relaxing. If you're familiar with Kegels or any practice like this, it is similar, but it is not necessarily a muscle that you are contracting. It is much more, well, the perineal contraction. So almost a glandular rather than muscular. So try to, if you cannot distinguish the difference at this first practice, that's okay. This Mooladhara practice ought to go for 1 month prior to moving on to the next. As we continue to focus in this area, continue to breathe very deeply. And now I would also like you to bring your eye gaze to your nose tip. So looking at your nose tip, now your eyes are certainly crossed. You can start to feel a little bit of pressure on your iris, on your retina. Inhaling through the nose, focusing on the balloon in your belly, and focusing primarily on that contraction. Try to align your breath with the contraction. Inhaling as you contract, lifting, and exhaling as you release. With every breath, contract a little tighter and a little bit longer, whilst keeping the rest of the body completely relaxed. So scan through your body. Relax your shoulders, relax your legs, and contract only the muscles related to the Mooladhara region. Now, in the beginning, as I said, it may be a little bit difficult to distinguish these anal and urinary sphincters compared to the perineal contraction Mooladhara bandha. But with practice and with greater awareness, you will begin to sense there is a difference. Don't give up. It is a journey worth taking. When control is developed, you will minimize any unison of these senses. These senses will be very different. Again, continuing to breathe with tension, and exhale with relaxation. This is the Mooladhara bandha. We also have the Udayana and the Jalahanda. We also have the Mahabandha, which is the great lock. And the locks are essentially different ways of moving the energy around the body. And we will continue to explore various ones of them throughout the practice. As I said in the beginning, yoga has various stages. Yama and Niyama are the first 2, where we focus on self and social discipline. Asana are these physical postures. Pranayama is the breathing. Pratyahara is the detachment of the mind from the senses. Only then do we begin to get into dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and finally samadhi, which is that final stage of bliss and knowingness. Until we get there, we are moving through the physical body to reduce distraction for that practice. I'm going to come into a malasana balance. So this is the garland or a prayer squatting position. So again, you may have varying levels of comfort with this. Use a block, use a pillow. Support the base of your body. And that will also help to, of course, remind you of the Mooladhara Bandha and the Mooladhara Chakra at the base of your spine. Otherwise, let's bring the right leg up, toes pointing forward, left leg as well, toes pointing forward. If you're on a block, remove it and simply tilt yourself forward. The feet can angle out just slightly, not quite out at a 45, but maybe a 25-degree, and elbows to the inside of your knees, opening the knees, dropping the spine, the tailbone, curling it under slightly. Bring the hands together in a prayer position, lifting from the heart, dropping in the shoulders, lengthening the spine, and breathing. It's a very important position to relax the internal organs, to activate the perineal region, which is, of course, responsible for creative forces, physically creative, creation of life, as well as spiritually, artistically, and otherwise creating the kind of life. Everything comes from this region. It can be very Freudian or other bases of modern day psychology. Will also be using many of these ancient physical practices and principles to create questionably useful modern psychiatry. If you'd like to come into a deeper balance or a deeper hip opener, releasing the hands, planting them down, and simply let the balance shift. If you'd like to start experimenting with lifting the feet, you are more than welcome. Whatever you do, keep the head lifting, keep the chin up, keep the neck long, breathing, or you can just sort of slide slowly forward and slowly back, breathing with every movement, and relax.